points to try to get to 10. I know it'll probably sound crazy because the score, it didn't feel like we were came out flat. We didn't play well, but we were moving the ball. We just played really poor in the red zone. 2 touchdown passes called back, and we didn't tackle very well. So, it's an unusual stat line, but it just shows you the value of turnovers. To have 700 yards of offense and rush for 463 yards in a game and lose by 2 scores just reminds you the value of turnovers, 3-0 in the turnover margin. So I give those guys credit. Senior night, they played really hard, ran the ball really well. Whatever it was, one team, we're 8-7 to carry, they're 7-8 to carry. So, unusual SEC numbers. So I give them a lot of credit. We kind of reverted back on defense, unfortunately, after playing decent last week and doing some good things against Alabama. Our issues showed again of not playing the ball outside, down the field, and then inability to stop the run. So I don't like the penalties. Very critical penalties, obviously. 4th and 9 touchdown, another touchdown, which is that game. If you got those 2 touchdowns, obviously the game's very different. So it's extra penalty on defense on a 3rd down stop and with Otis. So very discouraging this late in the year to have some discipline issues like that, decision-making issues like that.
Questions? Obviously, getting off to the kind of start you guys got off to, was there any part of you that felt this team was distracted at all by all the stuff that was out there this week?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of analytics of Alabama hangovers. Ask LSU that came in here last week, and whatever, scored 13 points against these guys. So, maybe there was some of that. But I think really we didn't play well on defense, obviously, and we did play well on offense in a lot of areas. We didn't finish drives. We had 3 turnovers. But, there was some good, takes doing a lot of good things as well, too, to get 700 yards in an SEC game. I mean, it sounds weird to even say rushing for 460 yards and losing the game. But values of turnovers and not stopping on the other side.
Talked about the penalties in that first quarter. How much did that kind of just affect what y'all were wanting to do or get y'all out of whatever kind of rhythm or plan y'all had to start the game?
Yeah, penalties, you guys have covered us. Penalties are going to happen where, you make bad decisions and it doesn't matter because the ball is incomplete, or whatever. It's really crushing when we get what they called holding on the first touchdown pass, which I tried to ask. I don't understand how it could be holding because they said it was after the play that he finished the guy, so not really holding. But then we get another holding on another touchdown pass. So obviously critical penalties to take 14 points off the board. So like I told him, there's a recipe to not win. And that's -3 in the turnover margin. You're not going to win most of the time, and it just shows you can have all these yards and all this stuff and still not win because you're -3.
Talk about the defense reverting a little bit. Just what did you see out of them in practice this week? Did you see anything that may have given you kind of a hint that might happen?
No, I was worried because these guys are a top 10 rushing team in the country, and I think they're right behind us in the SEC in rushing. So, after today, outside of Navy and Army, we'll probably be 1 and 2 in the country in rushing. So, they do a great job, and with the quarterback back, they're even more difficult because he's hard to bring down. Sanders had a great game. 232 rushing, and how many many SEC games have you covered with 3 running backs of over 200 yards in a game? The analytics, I bet that ain't very high. Maybe never. So, very unusual.
Coach, you just touched on it a little bit, but what did you make of the performances of KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders?
Great. I'm not saying they rested him. He was hurt, so it was certainly good for him to take a week off, because it sounded like he'd been banged up and not practicing much even in the game leading up to Liberty, and he didn't look very healthy in that game. So, they got him back healthy, and he's alone. They did a good job. Did a good job of giving his receivers chances in the red zone, and 3 different times the ball's up there and we don't make plays, and they do. And they got tall long receivers, So, lost again down here. A little bit different game than last time. Different feeling in here about how it did. But again, both games were turnovers. You had 7 then. You can't do that.
What was your message in there? Was just kind of how the rest of this week and schedule goes, the quick turnaround.
Yeah, you don't have any time to sit around and pout and feel bad for yourself because you got a short week, so maybe that's a good thing. So huge game, obviously, and how you finish the regular season with them, makes a big deal. They get one big today in their, preseason week 11 game, whoever they played. So we're gonna have to get back on track to play them because they're dangerous.
There were reports that Ole Miss extended you or presented you with a new terms of contract, that kind of thing. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I'm not getting into that. I never do talk about that stuff, and I'm very happy here. I'm not happy right now. It has nothing to do with being here. Not happy with that. We just really wanted to get to 9-2 and get to 10-2 next week. So that's all I'm worried about. So very happy to be here.
But
Very appreciative of leadership here and stuff they do to give us a chance to win.
With the reports out there that you're Auburn's #1 target, I know it's a lot of noise, but what does the future hold for you? And what does the future hold for Ole Miss?
Yeah, fair question. Like I said, I love being here. I don't want to look to next year already with a regular season game, but this is not one of those years where you say, oh, we're going to lose all these guys. There's a lot of people coming back and a lot of new guys offensively especially. So very excited about the future. So I don't know all that stuff out there, #1 stuff. Maybe they watched the first half. It wouldn't be #1 anymore then. All right, we'll end on that.
Anything else for Coach?
All right,
Thanks, guys. Well, players in short.